So again, we got some new ideas that I need to release to prevent patents and to give it to the open community to develop. I will be setting up lots of forums and information very soon so that we can have this open sourced and we can start to develop the software. But there is more ideas that have come to me and thus we will do them. Again, it's all integrated into the same software. But this time, we have the ability to target the web and we can have web components. And the beautiful thing about web components is they will be used with Vue and Nuxt, and they will be allowed to export, let's say HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We'll render it in WebGL though, so that it stays very quickly rendered. It's all about speed with this type of thing. But however, you are able to modify the data in the component and it can export the component out live. And the artboard itself can become responsive, but that's not a very unique idea. The artboard itself will become very responsive, so it can change size and you can change how the particular object looks in the DOM. And you can see that the data is live, so we've got open community software. I can say open FSF software, and that will allow me to update the view. Fortunately I didn't do it that time, but I had to click on it again, and there we go. And it updates not only the data, but also the database as well. So if this is linked up to a database or an endpoint, then it can update it. Now the way this technology will actually work is that we will have databases. So these databases, for example, could be Postgres or they could be Oracle databases, and it allows for socket connection and endpoints. This will export JSON data. This JSON data can then be connected and imported into these components, as well as other endpoints such as WordPress and many others. It doesn't have to be directly linked to a database, it can be linked to an endpoint. And you are able to modify the code so that it can work with other content management systems right out of the box. So the user can literally have their website rendered in WebGL so they can see how fast it is and clean it is, and they can also apply all of the effects. Don't forget, you can embed artboards in artboards, not patentable, where you embed an artboard, which could be a DOM object. An artboard could be a video project, and you can modify that. You can put it into another 3D environment. You can even put it into other canvases, have it render out. Really amazing stuff. And basically all it is connectivity of documents, and that should be open and free for anybody to develop. We should never have a lockdown system for such a wonderful idea and the creativeness that it really brings. So that is the web components. Now also I've come up with the 3D VR. Now 3D VR, you can be on the Xbox, PlayStation or a phone even, and you're able to look into the environment and you're all connected to the same 3D environment, and you can all play in the 3D environment and use this for whatever you would like. But you also have AR. Again, AR has been around for years. Adobe and other people like that would wish that they invented it, but it's been around for years. And it's been used in, let's say, the Pokemon application. That was a big spark in AR. And it's a very interesting and unique way to do things. You have the real world, and the real world is connected to the application. And this gave me the ability to say, why don't we have a creative space connected to people's environments? So for example, somebody could be on a mobile phone and use the camera on the phone to stream their environment. They could be at Niagara Falls, they could be on top of the Empire State Building, they could be on the London Eye, and they can stream the environment. And literally I will be able to see that environment on my canvas, and then I'm able to actually create and place in 3D elements right there in the environment. Now how amazing would that be? You can be anywhere in the world and create and share with your team back at the office or anywhere. You could even be on an iPad and be in Thailand. This allows so much creativity that it should never be patentable. I'm going to keep saying it because we must stop this war on creativity and ingenuity that we should have as the people and the community. So if you look at this, you could be on the Xbox, you can have the controller, somebody could be streaming it from a camera in the world. It doesn't matter whether it's a DSLR camera, it's a phone camera, or it's a camera on a particular VR device. They can stream their environment, they can map their environment to a WebGL canvas. We can all partake in creation. So with VR, you've got the handles and you can move stuff around and move objects around. For the games console, they can see a live canvas being streamed from the environment that we're all linked together in the environment, and they can use the games console, the actual gamepad, to manipulate the environment, so they can select elements, move elements, and they can create their own gaming. So now you can actually do games development on a console, which hasn't happened yet because these creative so-called companies haven't actually thought about it and haven't actually done it. So that's why I don't want these ideas patented by them and saying that they're the innovative ones. They are not the innovative ones, they just simply copy. And most creative artists do copy, but this is actually a very unique and very genuine idea. And I don't think anybody should own a patent on it because they will literally make a monopoly in the creative space. And that is the last space we need a monopoly in. And then also we have camera phones and all sorts of phones. Again, the phones themselves don't need the initial power. We know this through virtual machines. The phones themselves don't need to render the entire environment. In fact, they could use someone else's hardware, for example, Oracle technology or any sort of database technology, to allow it to basically allow them to game and interact on the device and use someone else's hardware. Really exciting and really ingenuitive technology. Nobody should be patenting creativeness. If they do, then forget about being creative, because I want to live in a world where I can make what I want and share what I want and be as creative as I like without legality. This is what it's all about. So, and this is why I'm sharing it. So you can imagine somebody's looking at this building. Obviously it wouldn't look quite like that. It would look like a proper building, a proper space. If I can pull up the example, I probably will be able to. So here is the example that I have open in the browser. This is what the background should look like. Again, it's a little bit pixelated, but you can imagine you can stream the VR set or the camera phone or whatever environment you're in. It connects back to the canvas. One 3D environment where everybody can interact with on pretty much any device type, such as console, mobile, tablet, and pretty much anything else you wanted. And we can all partake in the creation of the environment ourselves as a community, as creativity should be done and not be controlled. And especially the software shouldn't be controlled. We should be able to develop this and make this a reality for all users, and anybody can integrate and work with this environment and do whatever the hell they like with it. Even the creative software itself. You see, the creative software makers say we implore creativeness. Yeah, except for when it comes to competing with your software. Except for when you want to take ideas away from us and you want to basically thwart our efforts in making good software for ourselves. This is time to get rid of such an attitude. They're in the creative space and they must be creative, and if they're not willing to, then we're not willing to work with them as an open community, and as people who respect creativity, you should always want it. Not just in your environment, but for everybody else. It's kind of like an artist saying, I want to be able to patent a Picasso, and nobody else is allowed to copy, redistribute, or change in any way. Now, a forgery is a forgery. That's a forgery. But when it comes to an idea for a painting, all artists draw ideas from other artists. And let's face it, the big corporations not only draw ideas, but they also patent them and lock other people. They even lock the people that come up with the ideas out of their own ideas. And this is why it's so important we get this information out, we get these ideas out, and we don't let them do what they've been doing for years, which is lacking innovation, coming up with crappy user interfaces, slow software, or just software that won't let anybody else compete with it. It's called a monopoly, and it has to stop, especially in the creative space. The creative space is ours, it's the community-driven one. Do I feel sorry for those corporations that have billions in their pocket, that have been taking hard-working developers' work and just profiting off it continually? None of them are creative, all of them stealing ideas and putting money in their own pockets. Do I feel sorry for these? How will they ever pay for the petrol in their Porsches? It's terrible. It's really terrible. We must make sure that they can afford their Porsches, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, massive buildings that cost billions, and all their lawyers and legal stuff. We need them. We really don't, do we? As I'm being facetious. But here you can see that on the canvas we will be able to rotate around the environment for them. We'll be able to place objects in, and everybody on every device will be able to see it in their environment. We will be able to map out the entire environment, and it will be beautiful. It's all connected via data. How amazing would that really be? And these ideas, people can look at them and say, this is astonishingly good. You can do this with VR, with people actually playing in the environment. You can do this with people on the console playing the environment, and this allows games. See, games are being very segregated, but now what about games that allow all kinds of different people to create in the game space, play in the game space? That's the ultimate goal of surely any developer, is the fact that your users can have the greatest input in their environment. So this is what it's all about, and I'll just say very quickly that we must make sure it is not patentable. And don't forget, these are regular canvases. Just because this is not one type of artboard, this is an artboard that does all of this, everything. You can have that 3D VR environment right there in that canvas, or you're taking that artboard and you treat it as a slide. It's the same thing. It's the same cooperative space. It's no different, and this is an open idea. Share this idea, share it with as many people as you can if you know developers that can help, and also please visit me on Facebook. I know some people don't necessarily like Facebook. So here is my Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/lawrence.turton. Go ahead and message me and speak to me, and eventually, if you are a good developer, if you're a good developer for the community and you can fit in, or you just want to help out socially or communally or marketing wise, or you can offer your artistic skills, you will be recognized. We will give you the recognition, unlike some of the larger corporations who decide to steal ideas and then take recognition and say the creative ones survive. Apparently the ones that steal survive. Apparently the ones that take bread out of other people's mouths, they're the ones that survive. Well, I'm not interested in your greedy ways, especially in the creative space. In the creative space, the creatives deserve to create. Every one of us, developers and the like, and you can't do it in proprietary. Whatever they say, you can't do it in proprietary. You cannot open their code base. You can't play with it, you can't touch it. And that to me is not creative. The very tool that we use to create, we can't. Look at artists, they have paintbrushes, and they do things with their paintbrush. They modify their paintbrushes. They modify the way that a tip works or a knob works or something, and they can make beautiful art just by making such simple changes. I'm providing a paintbrush that is malleable, not a paintbrush that you can't change, that you can't touch, but you can give feedback on it though. So go ahead and give me a whistle. I am also an educator and a teacher, so I can teach you how the software will work. I can put it together. We have the technology. It is available to us through OpenVR. That's an open VR library. We have open libraries, open development, and as much creativity as we want, not based on large corporations. Unfortunately, there is one very large corporation called Adobe that is holding the majority market share in creative software, and unfortunately it's now creating monopoly. It's creating such a monopoly that people are locked into its pricing plans, they can't move out of it, And they have no real competition because they try to muscle people out of their own ideas, try to stop people from developing their ideas and being creative. These people champion themselves as creative people. They are the least creative people in the world. They're only interested in their bottom line. Some of the CEO and the board sit on a lot of other big companies, or have sit on larger companies such as Pfizer, and we all know how much we love pharmaceutical companies with their patents and locking down medical innovations. Now they want to lock down our creative innovations. Go ahead and do your research about these people who actually own these corporations, and you'll find out they are not who they claim to be. They are not innovators, they're not creative people, and they stand on stage and take all the glory whilst tens of thousands of developers that they've employed get none of the glory, get none of the recognition for what they've done. And that is what I want to stop.